Today, we're going to work on making a project using the Love Notes collection from Echo Park. Not only am I going to work on this collection today, but over the next couple of videos, I'm going to show you how to smash a paper collection. And not only do I have the whole collection, but I also have some of the patterns and solids, and I grabbed from my stash anything else that would go along with this. So that is what we're going to be doing for the next couple of videos. Are you ready? Let's get started. So like I said, we've got the Love Notes collection. It's a 12 by 12 collection, 12 double-sided 12 by 12 papers and a sticker sheet. And then I also have 6 of the coordinating solids. I'd like to get the solids because through the years I've been trying to reduce my stash, and I don't have as many solids as I used to. So if I get a collection, if I can get coordinating papers, I'll go ahead and do that, rather than keeping stuff in my stash that, you might have 10,000 reds, but you might not have one that matches exactly. So that's my theory. Now I'm also going to use some 12 by 12 cardstock. I usually use 8.5 by 11, so this is a little different for me. I have in my stash some textured cardstock. I believe it's 80 pounds. And I used 5 pieces, and I have some scraps that I'm going to try to use up as well. I only have 3 pieces left, so I'll try to finish that with the rest of what I make with this paper collection. Now, I'll also show you what I'm going to use as far as other tools. So first of all, I use the Designer Dries Clear Adhesive from the Art Glitter Company. This is the 8-ounce bottle. It's almost empty. I also use the fine tip it's got a pin in it. And here's my hack for you. So I've got a jar that I have a damp paper towel. I wet the paper towel and then squeeze it out as good as I can. So now all I need to do is take out the pin, and I have also put on a magnet here, so I keep the pin there and keep this upside down so it is ready for me whenever I need to use adhesive. So I'll use this primarily. You could use some double-sided tape if you want, or whatever adhesive you want to use. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got some tools that I'll use. I'm going to use this Weir Memory Keepers Crocodile, or you could use an eyelet setter. So this is an old eyelet setter, probably from Weir Memory Keepers, and you can use these with a hammer to punch holes out. This is the base I keep. I just wrapped a couple of layers of chipboard so I can hammer into that. And then this is the eyelet setter. But also you could use a pokey tool, an awl or something like that, to help set the eyelets. So there is that. So I've got 4 eyelets that are pink and 1 that is red, so you'll need 5 eyelets. You can do without it. If you don't have eyelets, you don't need to go run out or order it. You can do it without the eyelets. Just reinforce the paper with maybe a couple of pieces of tape. I also have a couple of pieces of jewelry here, like jewelry making supplies. Just a dangle I had made, a little charm. I have a split ring, and then I have, I don't know what you call this, but I have that. I also am going to use this, a turnbuckle, but you don't absolutely need it. You could do this project without it, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. So there is that. I'm going to use some Velcro dots. You only really need 1 set of them. I'm going to use some assorted ribbon and string. I just took any that was pink, red, or black. I could have used white as well from my stash and just have it on my desk. Of course, I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to use some, put this up there, some elastic. So I've got 2 things you could use. So these are, I don't know what they're called. It's a Tim Holtz elastic piece, and this project is perfect for that, except for the fact that this elastic that in here is really thick. So I decided instead of using that, although you could, I'm just going to use some elastic. I think this came from Dollar Tree. It's about 2 foot long, and this is going to work for the project today. All right, let me tell you a couple of other tools that you'll need. You'll need a paper trimmer, scoreboard, scissors, corner rounder, and like I said, the bone folder. So go ahead and grab your supplies and your paper, and let's get started. All right, so we're going to make the base, and I'm going to use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. By the way, I'm using a textured cardstock. I think it's about 80 pounds. I am going to start scoring at 4 1/8 all the way down. And then I'm going to score 4 more times on the 1/8 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 5 score lines there. Now I'm going to move over to 9 5/8, and I'm going to score at 9 5/8, and I'll score 4 more times. So I'll have a total of 5 score lines 1/8 of an inch apart. Now with this part, the part with the smaller smaller section, we're going to put that at the top, and I am going to score at 3/4. And of course, when you score, make sure you've got it up to the side and the top. And mine's flipping up a little bit, but I'm making sure it's right against the side. So 3/4, and then I will score at 7/8, 1, 1 1/8, 1 1/4. So that gives us 5 score lines there. Now I'll move over to 8 1/4, and I'll do 4 more score lines 1/8 of an inch apart. Okay, so you can see all those score lines. Now we're going to trim this down. So I'll grab my pencil so I can show you. All right, so let me get this out of the way. All right, I'm going to rotate this so the smallest tab is at the top, but it doesn't matter. So we're going to trim off the 4 corners. But I'm also going to trim off where we scored up to the center. So here's this one rectangle in the center. So I'm going to trim down at the last score line. So when we trim this piece off, we'll also have the 5 score lines up to, I'm going to go right up to that very corner without any scores. So there we go, there's that. We'll go ahead and do this one. We'll do this one. So when we're taking it off, we're taking off the part that also has 10 score lines on it. So I'll trim it here to the center. All right, so we've got that, this, and that. So that's what we're going to trim off. These you can discard. I mean, this one's almost big enough you could probably save this, but the other ones you can go ahead and discard. Okay, so we're done with this for a while. Now I've cut a piece that is 6 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to call this 1A. And with the 6-inch side at the top, we're going to score at 1.5. I have another piece called 1B, and this is 3.5 by 8. With the 8-inch side at this top, score at 1/2, score at 7.5, rotate so the 3.5 sides at the top, and score at 1/2 inch. Okay, actually I'm going to turn these upside down so we can work on it that way. All right, 2A, this piece measures 5.5 by 7. With the 5.5 side at the top, score at 1 1/4. All right, that's all for that one. The next piece is 4B. Oh, we have 2 of them. 4B and 4C. They're both 4 by 4.5. We're going to score these with the 4.5 side at the top, score it at 1/2 inch and at 4, and then rotate it. So with the 4-inch side at the top, score at 1/2 inch, and do that with both of them. So 4.5 is at the top, score it at 1/2, score it at 4, rotate, and score it at 1/2. 3A is going to be 7 by 8.25. With the 8.25 inch side at the top, we're going to score it at 1.25, and 5 3/4. All right. Now we have a piece 3B that's 8 by 4.25. With the 4.25 side at the top, score it at 1/2, rotate and score at 1/2, and at 7.5. All right, now we have 4A. This is 7 by 12. We're going to put the 12-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, score it at 1.5, score it at 5.5, and then score it at 9. All right, now we'll grab the other piece and put everything together. All right, we're going to add 2 pieces to our base. So you need a piece that is 5 by 4 and a piece that's 4 5/8 by 8. And I'm going to grab the scoreboard for that. With the 8-inch side at the top, we'll score it at 1/2 inch, score it at 7.5, and then score it at 1/2 inch with the 4 5/8 side is at the top. All right, we're going to miter some corners, and we're going to start adding things in. So for this piece, the 4 5/8 by 8, we're going to cut across the X caused by the score lines. So we have those 2 triangles. I'm not going to miter at the top at this point, but I am going to take my bone folder and we will fold and burnish on those score lines. Don't attach it yet, and grab a pencil. So what this is going to do is become a pocket. So I'm going to I want the bottom piece to line up a little bit over that last score line, so you see the score line entirely. And then I'm going to draw a line on the tab. And I'll pull it off, and I'm going to cut straight across on those lines that we drew on the tab. And then I am going to cut on the top. So here's the bottom of the pocket. I'm going to cut at the top this little piece off on both sides. Okay, there's one. Two. And then I'm going to miter this. All right, so the piece looks like this. Okay. All right, so this is how we have our piece. We've got that smaller one at top, the big one on the left side. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to add glue to the bottom tab. And glue this piece on. All right, so again, we're going to glue it not on that last score line, but just a little bit, in this case, to the left of it. And I'll take my bone folder and burnish. Now in this case, I'm going to grab some Scotch tape. And just to secure it, make sure things don't get hung up there, I'm just going to put it across most of the top of that tab, and I'll burnish that down. Okay, and then I'll fold these tabs in, add glue to them. Fold this over and burnish. All right, we'll turn it over. So here now, on the right hand side, we've got a flap with a pocket. Okay, that's good. Now here's the top piece. We're going to take that base piece, the base top 5x4, and we're going to glue this on just up again, up into where that first score line is. But first I'm going to miter up to that score line. All right, so I've got those small pieces. And I'll add glue to this. It's about 3/4 of an inch. And take my little top piece and put it on. And burnish. All right, so we've got, it's looking good. All right, so this is good. We will put this aside and work on the other pieces. All right, so we have 1A and 1B. So this is going to be a pocket we're going to put on 1A. So again, we're going to miter. We're going to cut right across the score line created by the X. And then I'll go ahead and miter the top. So just cut at a slight angle, just like that. And then we'll fold and burnish on the score lines. Actually, I'm going to fold it in this way so nobody can see my writing. Okay. So I will add glue to this longer tab. And I'm going to put it on this score line a little bit over. I'm opening up the tabs on the side just to keep them out of the way. And there we go. There is that. Okay, we'll do our little tape trick. And if you've written on your piece, you can erase it, but you know what? Nobody's going to see it. And then I'll go ahead and add glue to the tab, so I'll fold them in. Add glue and fold this over. Okay, this is number 1. So we're going to put this aside, and we're going to go to 2A, and 2B, and 2C. So these, of course, are pockets. So we will do the same thing. We'll miter across these score lines, and I'll miter a little bit at the top. We'll do that for the first one and for the second one. I'll fold and burnish on the score lines. Okay, so what we want to do is figure out exactly where these are going to be glued. Make sure there's room on the side. So I'm just going to mark where the center is. And then we'll glue down the one tab in the center. Again, to the right of the score line, make sure the side, or in this case the top piece, lines up. We don't want this to be right on the score line. We want it to be right on the other side of it. Okay, and then let glue there. And put this one butted up right next to it. There we go. All right, I'm going to open this up and add tape to put for both of these. I think I got too big a piece, maybe not. So if I didn't tell you what this is for, the tape, it's when you're putting things in the pocket. If your paper doesn't go all the way down, it won't get hung up. That is the magic of that tape. All right, I will add glue to all 4 of these tabs. And fold them down and burnish. If you wanted to, you could always cut this before you glue it down, so you have 2 separate tabs. I sort of like them together, so I'm going to leave them that way. All right, 3A and 3B. So we're going to take 3B, and I'm going to cut across our 2 score lines, miter at the top, miter at the top. Fold and burnish on our score lines. I'm going to add glue to the larger tab, longer tab, I guess. And so we have 2 score lines. We have the 1.25 inch. We're going to put it right on the right-hand side of that score line. And I'll add a little piece of tape to that. And then add glue to the side tabs. All right, fold and burnish that down, distributing the glue. All right, and we can also fold on that other score line. Okay, let's get out 4A. So on this one, we're just going to fold and burnish. Now, I haven't burnished on this first score line, which you could if you wanted to. Okay, so now we have 4A. You could leave it folded or unfolded, it doesn't matter. We are going to miter, so it's a big miter. So we're going to miter here and here. Don't go over that score line. Make sure you are able to see where that score line is. Then we're going to take 3B and miter. And I'm going to fold this now. And burnish it. All right, so here's the pocket. I'm going to turn this over and add glue on this whole tab. Now, if you wanted to, you could also use double-sided tape just so it stays down while the glue is drying. I am not going to at this point, but I am going to take this and add it on top of this piece, matching up where the score lines are. So I can open it up and move it. And I'm putting it down here. So the score line for 4A is right here. The score line for 3 is right on top of it. All right, so now 2, that's the one with the 2 flaps or 2 pockets. I'm going to miter and miter. And also at this point, I'm going to grab a corner rounder. Oops, that's not it. And round this top corner. I just like the look of that. All right, let's fold and burnish on the score line. And I'll add glue to the back of the tab. And I'm going to place this so the score lines match up. All right, and then we have this last piece. And again, I'm going to miter. Fold and burnish on our score line. Okay, so here's our pocket. Turn it over and add glue onto this tab. And then we'll put this so it is right at the score line of piece number 2. And burnish. All right, so we have that, this one, and that. So now I am going to take this, so we've got the flap over here, there's our top. I'm going to take this and fold it down. It's going to be pretty chunky. It's going to have almost a gusset on it that's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's okay. We know it's going to be bulky because we've allowed for that with all these score lines. We're going to just simply glue this right here. Now, it might go a little bit over that first score line, but that's okay. It's not going to affect anything. So I'm going to add glue on the back. So here's the pocket number 1. There's number 2. So I'm folding this down and I'm going to add glue. And as you can see, I'm fairly generous with the glue. I'm going to put it down to the right of that score line. Center it top and bottom. Let me see where we are. And burnish. All right, so we've got that like that, and now so we have these pieces. We'll fold the top one down first. The bottom one will come up, and then you could do it either way. You could have the one on the left coming to the top or the one on the right. I'm probably going to have the one on the left coming to the top. So know that when you go to decorate. But we still need to add a couple of extra things just to keep this closed. All right, so this is, we've taken a bunch of space. So this is, it used to be 5 inches. I have now 4 7/8. I'm going to measure 2.5 and go down about 1/2 inch from that last tab. So I'll put just a mark there. So 2.5 from this side and 1/2 inch up. All right, I'm going to turn this over. So we've got this pocket here. I'm putting my ruler right on that very last score line, and I'm going to measure 2.5 up and about 1/2 inch over. And I'll measure 2.5 down and about 1/2 inch over. All right, can you see those lines? Are those marks? So we're going to make holes, but we're going to make the hole after we've put on the pattern paper. Okay, I'm going to attach the eyelets and the elastic so we can get that done. So we've got our marks. I'm going to attach this piece. So our the square here is 5 by 7, so you need a piece of pattern paper that is 4 7 1/8 by 6 7/8. And we're going to just glue that down. So just center it as best you can around that first set of score lines. Okay, and then I'm going to take a pokey tool. Now if you have I don't have a hole punch that would reach in through all this, so I'm just going to use this pokey tool. I'm going to grab a little piece of foam and just make a hole where we've got those. Okay, so we've got holes there. Now, if you have this and you want to use these, you can use larger eyelets and it will go one on each side. Whoops, here. And that will hold it. But I'm going to use just plain old elastic. You'll need a piece that is probably 15 inches long. It might be a little bit more than you need, so get that ready. I'm going to go ahead and put in eyelets. I'm using my pokey tool because it's the perfect size to put them in where the holes are. And again, I don't have the tools to get into a small area, so I'm using what I have. So this pokey tool works real well. So okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to set these. They're in pretty good, they're not going to fall. And to set them, I am using a hammer and an eyelet setter. So I'm just going to take this eyelet setter. It's got sort of a flower shape here at the bottom. You just square that off and it just sets it nice and flat. And just an extra hammer will take care of it. And then we can cover this up with our pattern paper. Well, no, after we put in our elastic. So our elastic's going to go in through the bottom hole, out through a side hole, down the other side hole, and up at the top hole. And we'll just tie that in a knot. Now if you want, you can tape that down, but what is going to happen is these will fold, this will fold over, this will fold over, and then the elastic from the back will come and just hold it at the corner. And that's a nice way of having a folio with a closure. So that's what I have to show you for that. Now I've cut all my decorative papers and I'm going to put it on. Everything is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the allotted space. I'm going to go ahead and cover everything and decorate, and then I'll show you what I have. All right, so here we are. It's all done. Now, I wish I had had red cardstock to make this with, because I think the red really would have popped, but I didn't, so the white is fine. So it is fairly chunky, but you know, we've got the allowance for that. And I think even once you add some photos, it still is gonna have the room. I did not make an envelope, but I did take one of the stickers. I popped this up. I added some enamel hearts on top of a couple of those. So it just adds a little bit of dimension. And then again, the closure is here. I probably should have made it a a little looser. So just note to self. Oh, and then there's the back. I mean, nothing very exciting about the back. So, oh, I did put a little dangle. It just has this row of red and white beads, and then there is a little pink flower in there, and then just some string or some seam binding and some fun fur. I just tied a knot on it, just to add a little something. So this will open like that. That'll open like that, and then this will open like this. Well, I don't know if you were able to get this. So the sticker says, "Always be my sweetheart." We've got a couple of hearts there, and I just like how that came out. And then that'll open just like that. So here there is a tuck spot that's from the sticker sheet. I just put on white cardstock, cut around it. Took some of the tags, and then some I put on some hole reinforcers. Some I put on some larger enamel eyelets, and some smaller ones. Some I put paper, some I put ribbons, or I just did an assortment. So those can go in there. On this side, I've got a tag with just a ribbon on it and a cut apart. So that goes like that. So this is, and I wanted to put something on here. I just couldn't come up with something, and that's okay. So here we've got a nice spot for journaling, and on the back you could put a photo. That goes nicely in the pocket, and a couple more tags. So this one has an eyelet, and that one just has a hole reinforcer. And you, of course, can move them around. So that'll open like this. We've got the belly band. I took some flowers from the sticker sheet, put it on cardstock, fussy cut around it. I cut this down a little bit. I think that's just because that's the size scrap I had. I don't know. But that goes in just like that. I think that makes a nice presentation. Here I put the hearts from the sticker sheet on some of the red pattern paper and just fussy cut around it just so those hearts would stand out. And here I took some cut aparts, backed them on white cardstock, put some paper on the back, and just put them right inside there. So I like how that whole thing comes out. So now here we've got the writing paper. I did not put anything right here. I was toying with the idea of taking this from the sticker sheet and putting it on. But the thing about this is a weird color. It's not red, it's got an orange hue to it. And there's nothing else in the collection that matches with it. So I'm just gonna leave it. So here is another cut apart. I did put this from the sticker sheet on white cardstock and fussy cut around it. And here's another tag. And this will open up like that, and that opens easy. And that is just a pocket to put a cut apart inside. And you can add photos there. You can put journaling spots in there. You could do whatever you want with that. So there is that. This will open this way, and we've got the center fold. So here I just put this from the sticker sheet on the top to coordinate with that, and then added this from just a scrap of paper, put it on white cardstock, and you can journal on the back or put photos or whatever, and then added a one of the tags. So this will open. Now I should have put it a little closer to the left hand side. It still opens, and I didn't add too much stuff in here, figuring this would be a good spot to add some fun photos or journaling. But you know, as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, do I want this here or here? I'm going to put that there just to break that up. So that'll open like this and open like this, or close, and then that goes just like that. And then this opens this way. I added a sticker that I put on cardstock and just glued it at the top, so that makes a nice little tuck spot. And then you can add whatever you want in here. Just lay it down. It's not going to go anywhere. And then you can see how everything else looks now that it's all closed or all open. So again, this will come like this. This will go down. This closes. This closes. Our little elastics come around Now the original one did have sewing, so I did it in a way that there is no sewing involved. Now let me show you what I have left as far as scraps, because we have a decision to make. So I don't have that many small ones. I guess these could go with the small ones. And then some reasonable size scraps. And then some bigger ones. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scraps. And then I had purchased an extra one of these cut aparts. I guess because I liked this straight paper, but I didn't utilize it. So there is an extra 12 by 12 I haven't cut into. Oh, here's another good size sheet. And then this is from a totally different collection. This is Cardabella because it's got some texture on it. And I figure when I'm done, I can make little lunchbox notes or whatever to put in there. I have more. Let me show you. So here is the sticker sheet. Here are some cut aparts. So there's a good number of cut aparts left. A bunch of 4x4s. There's another 4x4, a couple of tags, 4x6, 4x6, 3x4. And then finally, I still have some complete sheets of coordinating paper. Oh, another one. So I have enough left to make a couple more projects. I did, when I was smashing some Doodlebug paper, I made a couple of projects and people were looking for tutorials. So I guess my question is, what would you like to see? The very next, would you like to see the horizontal mini album, or would you like to see, well, actually, you know what? Let me just do the horizontal one because people have been asking, and I have lots of paper that will work with horizontal. And then afterwards, I can show you, because I've been asked, show us how you decide what to make with the rest of your scraps. So I think that is what I will do. So horizontal one is next. I might do it two ways. I might do it using the Cricut, and I might do it without, or one or the other. I'm not sure yet. So stay tuned. You will see what I do next. And that is what I made using Echo Park's Love Note. Using a project that I saw on Pinterest. I will put the link in the description box so you can check it out and see if that is something you want to follow. Her tutorial, and it's a blog, so it's not a video or this method of doing it. I will say her method of sewing the signature in is very clever. I think she got it from an old Tim Holtz project that they offered. You know, it was just black cardstock and you got to fill it in. But how all of this was put in was sewing it, and then it moved very easily in. And I just thought that was very clever. So that's what I wanted to show you today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a fabulous day.